Background noise anyway, right? We are live. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to a Schmudgeon of Curmudgeon, everybody. We are with the one and only Mr. Tim McKay. Hello. Yeah, Mr. Tim. He's down below. I'm Bill Adams. I am your bearded curmudgeon. And next to me, God, I'll never get this right, is Mr. Dewey Conway.
Hey, everybody.
Curmudgeon file?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Well,
that's all I could come up with.
Then Tim, who is a smasher of keyboards, which was a pretty epic event. If you didn't see it, go check out his socials. It was pretty good.
I think I have it highlighted somewhere. So yeah, TikTok. You know what? TikTok. I think they're the only two videos I have on TikTok. So there you go.
Oh, Greg is here. Hi, Greg.
Hey, howdy, Greg.
Hey, Greg. Oh,
okay. So, we have a tradition here to start here, but don't hate me, Tim, because we're gonna play. We're doing a little bit different here to honor you being our first Canadian.
Okay, this is gonna be good.
This is all in good fun.
Oh gosh, now the pressure is on. I have to be representative.
Oh, it's not bad.
No, it's not bad. We're just going to play to a silly stereotype here. So the curmudgeon scale is now the passively grumpy curmudgeon scale.
and we're celebrating with, of course, the beautiful Canadian flag adorning our usually black grumpy background. And we have adorned our scales with someone who may be one of the more famous Canadians at the moment. Of course, we're ranging ourselves as, where do we rank ourselves for grumpy for today, for curmudgeon-y rather, for today? Are we a slightly annoyed Ryan Reynolds all the way to a raging Ryan Reynolds? And I will tell you, these pictures were hard to find because he's always smiling. I don't know why, but I found them. And so I guess we'll start with you as our guest of our curmudgeon guest of honor. Tim, where are you today?
See, I feel like if we were doing this 3 days ago or earlier, my answer on a scale like this would normally be probably a low 3, 4, maybe 5. And you just happen to catch me when I am at a full-on 10, like maximum.
Yes.
Whoa, that's wow!
Yeah, I am.
Congratulations!
It's just perfect timing.
Can we ask why? Like, what's bringing the scale? I mean, that's pretty aggressive.
Oh yeah, that's like, for me, it's a sharp take, and I'm sure. Give me another day or two, it'll be back down. But technical difficulties. Just frustration with my internet provider. Just the worst possible timing ever for an internet massive outage while I was in the middle of hosting a YouTube stream like this just 2 days ago. And not realizing that till after the fact. It was also perfectly timed. We were supposed to be streaming to Twix or Twitter, X, whatever the heck you want to call it. And X had their stupid outage on the same day. So like everything that could have possibly gone wrong that day went wrong, and I haven't had something sour my mood that badly in quite some time.
And you have not yet recovered.
Oh yeah, nope, not even close.
Wow,
that's perfect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not happy that things went down, but I am happy that you're a 10 because that makes me feel better.
It makes me feel like I'm in good company. It's perfect.
Well, Bill, what about you? How are you today?
I would probably rate it around an 8.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good.
But I'm tired, so like my rage is not, and my annoyance is not as high when I'm this tired.
Your rage is
because I'm just like ready to go to sleep. At that point.
See, I'm angrier when I'm tired, and I didn't sleep well after that whole fiasco on Monday. So yesterday I was easily 11, 12. So yeah, sleep. I need sleep to not be a curmudgeon.
Yeah, and I'm just putting here from Pete here, our friend Pete. 10 in Canadian means slightly miffed.
Not entirely wrong.
All right.
No, it's funny. Before you go on, not to get into the work details, but we're working on a project. We bought some labs in Canada, so we're integrating them, and I'm leading that project. And the person I'm working with is in Ontario.
Okay, yeah.
And he's driving me nuts because I just would keep asking him questions, and he's just like, "Oh, I'll see if I can get that," and then he never gives me anything, and I'm like, it's not because he's Canadian or anything, just because he's driving me nuts. But I only bring it up because we're in the Canadian special today, and we're talking about Canada.
I would like to think that's not representative of Canadians, but yeah, I mean, passive and sarcastic for sure. That's if have you ever seen Letterkenny? Oh,
what is it?
Letterkenny. It's a show.
Oh, Letterkenny. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I know those people. And they are my friends. That's to at least some extent my people. I went to school in Peterborough, Ontario, much smaller. They call it a city. It's very small. Anyways, and I mean those were my people for a solid 3 or 4 years. And before growing up, I live in Ottawa, but we have a lot of smaller towns just outside of Ottawa, and I knew so many friends from there. And they like that show is shockingly accurate. It's hilarious. Yeah. It's also just a real depiction.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
I've only seen the first season and a half of it, but I need to finish it. But that's a fun show.
I love that show.
My exposure to Canada, and this is all the culture I know about, is from my worship of Rush, and hopefully Rush, right? Yeah. And I don't know why Bill is laughing. He's just jealous because he can't understand it. And then SCTV. There's SCTV, which I know that's an older show. But
that was this basically Second City.
Yeah. So
where Eugene Levy came from.
Okay.
Eugene Levy and all them. Yeah, John Candy. It's an old show, but it's funny, and that's.
Dewey's old. That's what he's trying to tell you.
I am old.
If there was ever any doubt.
If there was ever any doubt, I'm old. I'm old. Thanks.
And on that note, Dewey, where are you at on the scale?
I was going to be at a 7, but now I'm at a 9. I'm not quite a 10, but there's room for improvement, I guess.
We'll see what we can do.
We'll see what we can do. It's not going to take much. But seriously,
I mean, down about Rush, and he'll incrementally go higher and higher and higher.
Yeah. I mean, let's not do that.
Who was it on the? Was it Zach? Who was it on the? Yeah, it was ZB, right?
He's too young, and we make fun of him for being 12 all the time. He knows nothing. He's worse than Jon Snow. He doesn't know anything. I think and I'm not saying that you have to know this movie, but I made a comment about the movie Blow. Have you ever seen that movie with Johnny Depp?
If I did, it was quite a while ago.
Yeah, that's okay. But I made a comment. He's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, do you know what this is? And he's like, no. And I'm like, do you know what this is? And he's like, no. I'm like, what am I going to do with you?
I know the cover of Blow. I don't know if I ever saw it. So now I'm adding myself to this list. It's great.
It's okay. You don't have to know.
Okay. So this is a show about books. So Tim, give us the spiel about your book, The Fall of Selvandrea. No, I said it wrong. See, you told me.
Okay. So good.
I still got it wrong.
We were talking about this before the show.
You say it.
Well, that's the thing is intuitively when I thought of the name for what is the central city of one of the main nations. So Selvandrea is their capital, is the capital city. And when I thought of it, I had Selvandrea in my mind. And over time, talking with beta readers and talking with it's everyone except Bill apparently instantly pronounced it Selvandrea, and it just slowly grew on me until I ended up changing the pronunciation in my own mind. And now, anyways, so The spiel, in a nutshell, is it's dark flintlock fantasy, so set in a world with gunpowder cannons, some crossover with medieval technologies, and I like to warn people in advance. I'm a fan of genre blending, so it has some sci-fi in it. One of the main backdrops to the story is that evil is an organism. It's the central evil in the world is essentially this bacteria-like organism that spreads and infects, and it also organizes itself, clusters into larger organisms. It releases and creates monsters to protect itself. And so these are people who have barely discovered gunpowder trying to fight this extremely advanced, malevolent organism that is just spreading like wildfire through their world. And that's the spiel in a nutshell. If you like epic fantasy, if you like a darker edge, and if you like some genre blending with sci-fi, it's a safe bet. I think you'll be able to enjoy this book.
Wow, the evil. Does it have a name?
Yeah, the Dreymare.
Okay,
so that's what I call the organism, and the series is called the Dreymare Chronicle.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was looking through, and that's fascinating. I was looking through the because I got it on the ebook. Sounded my dad. I got it on the ebook. And I was looking through the pronunciations. I've noticed a lot of it feels Welsh to me, or like some of the names, or do you have some of the Selvandrea, Valderis, you have Dreymere, these words sound like they're derived from something. Now, are you using a world to influence or kind of help shape your world? Are you using something from the real world, or what are your influences for the world itself?
Yeah, I mean, there it's mixed. So I did my undergrad in one of oh gosh, too much school. I did one of my undergrads in history, and so some of the influence comes from different cultures I studied. I loved studying Celtic era Britain and Europe. I loved studying Middle Eastern history. Some of that ties back to my other studies too, but then in part influenced by the history I studied in school, and in part influenced by some of the historical fiction I've read over the years. The more I dove into Celtic and Druidic lore, something I really love. So some of that ties into a classic Arthurian legend, but some of it ties into Welsh history and Irish history to a lesser extent. And so some of the pronunciations are borrowed from that. Like a few of the names of characters and even one nation use the spelling is with two D's, but in Welsh it's mostly Old Welsh pronunciation. The double D usually represents a TH sound, like this or then, So a few of the names like Brithel is one sinister character in the book who I love. It's a lot of fun designing someone like that. Anyways, and I tend to really like my dark characters. So little fun pronunciations I threw in like that, just influenced by what I had seen, in a lot of those Celtic. If you're ever reading someone who, another example would be Mike Molman. His becoming a druid has a lot of similar pronunciations and words, and it almost takes a course in and of itself to learn how to pronounce some of those old British, but the tribal terminologies. And anyways, it's just fun. I love that stuff. So some of it was just me riffing off and coming up with fantasy sounding names that to me fit the vibe that of the characters or the scene or the nation that I had in mind. And some of it was very much historical fiction influenced, for sure.
Very cool. Like when you speak Irish folklore, you're going back to like the Duadan and that group of mythology. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which does coincidentally tie to Middle Eastern. So it ties way back to Egypt and the Middle East, and that's really pretty cool how you've drawn upon that. Wow.
I mean, that said, when you're actually in the middle of writing, I feel like all the different influences you've taken in over the years just get scrambled in your head. So it comes out as this weird smorgasbord, and you end up spotting some of the influences as you go.
Yeah.
I can't pretend that a lot of it is intentional. And then every once in a while you catch yourself doing something that's a little too close to an influence you've had. And you have to take a step back and say, okay, how can I spin this, make it more my own, make it more creative, make it unique. That I find tough sometimes, but I love it. It's a fun gig.
It's very interesting because as writers, I don't think any of us really intentionally set out to write with a big deep message. Like I can only imagine someone like Hemingway sitting there, typing away and writing his works, and then I wonder what he would think now to know that there's entire college courses taught on his writing and deep analyses. He'd probably be like, I don't know what I wrote that, really? It's amazing how your mind synthesizes what you really feel through that. I wanted to say this cover is really pretty awesome, but it's also not the original cover. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's the original. And I have both of them behind me too. I mean, the very condensed version is that the goal was always illustrated for this book. For the Fall of Selvandrea, the goal was illustrated. And so I had plans to use one illustrator. And I finished the book. I finished going through beta readers. I finished, editing and getting it edited. And just talking with the illustrator, there was going to be essentially a 1.5 year wait and then a very hefty bill. And and I am absolutely all for supporting artists and I wanted the best of the best. I was going for quality. So the plan was to wait that full 1.5 years, but I decided I wanted to publish it sooner and then revamp it and re-release it with the illustrated cover a 1.5 years later. So I got a cover designer I'd worked with in the past to do the original cover that you held up with the I've got it here. Yeah. So, with the flame, and thematically I thought it fit. I like the simple style. I like the borders that Rachel does. They're fantastic. The style very much was what I wanted. It was really on point. And so I got her to do that, relatively quickly. And while she was doing that, I looked into some other illustrators who would maybe be able to do some internal illustrations for the book. And during that process, I found some incredible black and white illustrations by Joe Requeza. And so there's the very first. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, here's one of them
well, this is one of the ones he did for me.
Incredible.
So I reached out and asked, what's your time frame? How much would it cost to do one of these illustrations for inside my book? He told me very reasonable price and very reasonable schedule. He more or less started within a few weeks and had all 3 of these done within, I want to say 6 weeks. There's essentially a 2-week turnover per illustration.
Oh my gosh.
Some of them, I think one of them was done within a week. And he was extremely quick to make adjustments, when they were required. It just on the ball. And what a pleasure to work with. And again, extremely affordable. So it blew me away to get this level of quality. He's just, I fell in love instantly. This is how you earn someone's loyalty, quality on the spot. I'm like, Joe is my guy, Joe Requeza. Wow. Just absolutely, nailed it. So I ended up hiring him to do 3, 1 for each part of the book, because it's divided in 3 within. And then I thought, okay, I'm curious. Let's just see. Let's feel it out. Joe, what would your schedule be like, to do a full full front and back cover, obviously color illustrated, and what would the cost be? And he said, I can start next month. And he told me the cost, and it was less than half of what I would have been paying the illustrator I was going to wait 1.5 years for. So at that point, the possibility of going with the other illustrator had kind of always been tentative anyway, and now having seen the quality of Joe's work, his price, his turnover, I thought, okay, this is my guy. So I instantly asked him, okay, we're doing this,
Wow.
And the rest is history. So I ended up getting this cover much sooner than I had planned.
Intended.
Yeah, which is what led to the re-release being so much sooner. I think it was only 3 months after I released the first cover that I ended up releasing this. Yeah.
So
Dewey, before we get into this questions, we need to hit the wheel.
yeah, no, I wasn't going to ask another question. I wanted to say yes, and we do need to do the wheel, but I wanted to say that's knowing what goes into art. That's incredible. That's an incredible turnaround. I'm really pretty impressed by that. He's got I like his style.
I do. I mean, I was blown away. And I knew what I wanted. I gave him the descriptions, and I think initially for the full cover, he started with the character concepts and the placement, changed that around a little bit just on his own. He was like, you know what? No, I can do this better. Instantly flipped it, made some changes. Then he gave me the character concept a week or two later. And I mean, it was essentially what you see now, minus some tweaks.
Wow.
And then he did the city behind, made some changes to that when I told him a little more about the landscape and geography I was hoping for, more of the rolling hills and trees and the city stretching out. And oh my gosh. So yeah, incredibly quick turnaround. I think altogether it probably took 5, maybe 6 weeks to do what you see.
Fantastic.
That's just mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
Well,
it's such a beautiful cover, man.
Yeah.
Here it is. So we have some questions for you.
Brilliant.
Honestly, it's always fun to spin the wheel just to get some randomness in here, but hold on to your hats. Let's go. Or your hat. Spin it. Let's see. What question are we asking Tim today? Oh, number 5.
The axe.
It's the axe. Hope it don't give you the axe. Canadian delicacy question. Compare your main characters to a typical Canadian staple, aka Drascar's poutine. Dude is fried and crazy sauced.
That's pretty good. Okay. I can answer this very easily. Rinwen, one of the main characters. She's an 9-year-old, very excitable little girl, and also very powerful, which gets very fun. And I can tell you right away, she is Maple Taffy. Yeah, and I even mentioned Maple Taffy in the book just for kicks. That was just something fun I threw in. Little Canadian.
That's with Jeddah, right? And Canna.
Yeah, I hint at it very quickly in the first chapter. You see her, and then they actually talk about Maple Taffy again when they go to the big city, Selvandrea. So when she meets Jeddah and Canna, these 2 old curmudgeon-y men, actually, you would love them. That's very much the vibe I was going for. And
basically Waldorf and Stadler from Muppets. That's what they remind me of.
Part of the fun too is, for the most part, I stay away from any really direct influence for characters and arcs in my story. But this one I have no problem confessing at all. Canna and Jeddah are very much inspired by a very real encounter I had with 2 old guys who were just like that. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. I was at a coffee shop, and these 2 old guys come in, sit down beside me. I was there waiting for my sister, who was just running very late. So I ended up having a 45-minute long conversation with these 2 old guys. And there are direct quotes from that conversation, tweaked a little bit and thrown into the book just for kicks. Like those characters. And I get so many comments from people saying they love them. And they're very much, to a T what happened. Anyways, it's just, I love it.
So Bill, did you say Stadler and Waldorf from the Muppets?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So full confession, I'm only through part 1. So I didn't get.
They make an appearance in every part of the book, and that's intentional too. And
they just show up and they just like kind of crack some jokes almost like. They're kind of I wouldn't say trying to be humorous, but they just kind of are humorous.
Yeah.
And they just, for some reason, reminded me of Stadler and Waldorf from the Muppets,
these guys.
Commenting on like the stuff that's going on.
Oh yeah, to a T. I mean, you'd have to have seen it. It was like they were out of a show when these two guys sat next to me, and so I've barely characterized them at all. One guy sits next to me, and he turns to the other, and he says, I'll make up the name here for the sake of it, but Ken here was raised by a goat, don't worry about that. And then one of the baristas comes by, and they turn to her, and one of the guys says, oh, hey, would you like to join us? We were just, the three of us were planning to rob a bank. We need a fourth. Are you game? Okay, perfect. So, and they just start scheming a heist right in front of her, and she's just there trying to figure out what's going on. And the one guy says, oh, don't worry about John here. He's only been arrested once or twice. Don't worry. We're pros. It was just, people like, if I have a goal in life for the kind of person I want to be at that age, it's that.
That's what I always say. Like, my life goal when I get older is to be like those old guys that hang out at McDonald's, like every morning. Like, I want to be one of those guys.
Absolutely.
Because they're just like off their rockers. They just don't care. They're always reading the paper and like yelling at each other. Like, that's what I want to do, even though I don't like people in general. Like, that's what I want to do when I get older.
You find the one or two you really do like, you stick with them, you go to the cafe or to the McDonald's, and you raise some ruckus. That's the dream.
Or you just sit there and judge everybody.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. That's the curmudgeon dream, isn't it?
Exactly. Do we hit another question?
Yeah, let's do one more. All right. Okay. You got the crown.
This might be a good question if you go in order.
I did. Which Tim of the Timocracy, McKay and Wolf, would survive the Thunderdome?
That's tough. A younger me probably would have done better, but I can't vouch for the other Tim, for the same period of his life. So that's a tough one. I'm probably biased. I mean, I might be Canadian, but I can be pretty savage in a fight. So I'm going to take the crown on this one. I think, bring it, Tim. The democracy is united in all things, but if it came down to it, I think.
Oh my gosh!
Shots fired.
I'm pulling her up. Yo, we got some Tina Turner celebrating the democracy.
Treat Wolf like a keyboard. Yeah, see, that's the thing. You've all seen my capacity for violence. So, I'm established. What have you done?
Okay, I'm gonna go watch this. One of us can pull it up, I guess. I have no idea. I'm just imagining you smashing this keyboard.
Yeah, I mean, the long story short is my keyboard was acting up, so I got myself a new one and just smashed the old one over my knee on video, and it was glorious.
Darn you!
Well, and then someone suggested I should take a sword to it, and they didn't even know I had a sword. I have a sword over my desk right now, so I just grabbed that and made a second video just smashing it with a sword.
Oh my gosh! Okay, we'll come back to the questions, but I want to talk a little more about your book. Namely, like, this is your first book, right?
Yeah.
Your debut book. Was it always like this, or did it have like was there a process to the whole thing as far as like different iterations of the book? Was it a short story, or I seem to think somewhere in my brain that this was short stories?
Well, you can even see it in my publishing history on Amazon. So I originally, in my mind, what I had in mind was the books that got me hooked on fantasy when I was younger. And so Scholastic Book Fair, novella-sized. For me, it was Deltora Quest by Emily Rada. Just absolutely fantastic. For that age, it was just I would read one of those books per night. They're roughly 30,000 words each, and I would just blast through it. And then I would ask for the next one. I would get my mom to buy me the next one, and the next, and the next. And, and there are a lot. There's 8 in the initial series. I think another series of 4, and then another. Anyway, so she wrote a lot of these books, and I just drank them up. And so in my mind, I wanted to create something. Initially, I wrote for a younger audience, and then I very much tweaked the style as I went along. I realized, okay, no, this isn't the right fit for me where I am in my life, and it's not the right fit for this story. So I started tweaking the style. And then that meant it also got a little longer as the process went on. So my first iteration was really the first part that you see in the book itself. Rise of Dreska is part 1 of the book, and I initially published that on its own. And the thing is, I even knew doing it, I thought, okay, this ends on a cliffhanger because it's really just the first part of a 3-part arc that I had in mind. I had 6 parts in total in mind, not for the whole series, but for my initial, journey I wanted these characters to take. So I published the first part, got a lot of great feedback. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people had some things to say. It was my first go at this, and I knew I had a lot to learn. So I went in with the idea of, I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to reiterate. And so when the feedback came in, I realized, number one, not the right fit to market, especially for my genre and my way of writing. This needs to be 3 parts to get. This needs to be a full arc, a full story together. It's epic fantasy. People want a chonker, at least for the way I write. It's and
sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, that's true sometimes. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I that's the thing. I started on smaller novella length books, but what I've read for the last 20 years of my life, it's the thick ones, So you kind of have to do what you love at the same time, or one, it will exhaust you. I say that, but my next planned novel is actually pretty short. So, it's good to stretch out too. Anyways, point is, for this story, I realized very quickly, and all the feedback was saying the same. They were like, okay, no, we need more,
Cool.
So I ended up taking that book down and republishing what you see now. So that's kind of the reiterative. That's the process that got the book to where it is now.
So basically the first 29 chapters.
Yeah. And a few months after, a little bit more than a few months, but I published the second part as well. And again, the feedback was, okay, no, like, where's the rest, So that's when I decided, okay, I'm taking these 2 down, editing them, expanding them. So both of them are longer now than they were initially. And then I added a 3rd part of equal length and created what we see now.
Gotcha.
And what's really nice about the whole indie publishing thing is that you can publish your book, and as you were talking about your cover, you can tweak it. You can continue to build it and make it better and meet your true vision, but you can get it out for people to enjoy. I'm wondering how, with this re-release, how has it been received? Because that cover is beautiful, and you just recently had this release. So what's the reception like for it?
Well, funny enough, even just the simpler cover, did pretty well. Had a lot of people signing up for pre-orders and then buying it off the bat. Got a lot of good reception on the story itself, but I think obviously when I put it out again with the new cover, it exploded. It's been pretty steady. I keep now this month might be the drop finally, but I keep expecting it to slow down. So January, so the new cover released on December 27th, and January exploded.
Wow.
Sales, KDP reads, pages read, Kindle Unlimited pages read. It was just really good compared to anything I'd done before with parts 1 and 2. Then with the first release of the Fall of Selvandrea. So January was really decent, and I thought, okay, February's coming. Everyone says this is the slog. It's also the shortest month of the year. Okay, this is when it's, and then that was my best month. February was the best month I've had, and now I'm giving out signed copies, and so I'm getting a lot of demand for those. That's actually hard to keep up with right now, which is a great feeling, but it's tough. The tough thing about signed copies is coming from here in Canada. There's an Amazon printer here in Ottawa, but they only do paperbacks. So to get my hardcovers, I have to order them from the States and wait for them extra long and pay the extra shipping and now the tariffs and all that. Like, it's a nightmare getting those hardcovers unless I just order directly from Amazon at full price. That's the only workaround I found, and I actually almost end up saving all the money.
So here's a question though.
Yeah.
So your book is over 500 pages. That would be why you don't get a hardback, because Amazon cuts it off at 500 pages. For a hardback.
For sending it out, or what do you mean?
For printing a hardback, it's got to be 500 pages or less. Amazon.
To print it globally, or what do you mean?
Just to make it. So like for my book, for this chonker, Amazon, this one is 600 some pages. Amazon did not let me set up a
so no, the cutoff
either.
is 550 pages, and mine is 540, so I'm just under the line.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So that's because you're through Ingram, right? I'm guessing.
Well, the hardback is through Ingram.
Yeah.
Because of that, because Amazon didn't do it, but also I wanted a dust jacket. But
fair.
Regardless, I thought the cutoff was 500.
Yeah. No, so I even did some formatting tweaks to make sure I snuck under that line. Yeah. So
That's smart. I didn't realize that there was that when I made it, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. That's the thing is you want to be able to do everything through whatever platform you start on. Having to branch out like that just to get a decent hardcover.
Then you become then you have issues like Tim Wolf does, with his. He got it took him 20 days for them to approve the cover, and
like what a nightmare. Yeah.
This whole game is a nightmare. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it really is. You just brace for a hiccup because it's coming no matter what.
Yeah, you don't know what it is, and then I don't want to jinx you on your sales or anything, but it's like you think you're doing great, and then all of a sudden the next month there's nothing.
Yeah.
Like I had a similar thing where December for me was like huge. And I was like, where's this coming from? Like I didn't do any sales or anything. I only released the novella, so I don't know if that that wasn't really much of sales. And then January hit and it was just like bloop.
Yeah.
Like nothing. And now it's steadily coming back up again. It's just such a weird game.
Yeah. I mean, you can try to guess what's going on, different, seasons, people at different points in their life, tax season, blah, blah, blah. There's always something you can try to predict, but it just feels like you're going to exhaust yourself if you do that. So you have to brace for the downs, and they definitely are coming.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's really hard to. It's hard to predict, especially if you're doing your own marketing, you're doing your own advertising, you don't have any real numbers to work with. But. Well, let's ask another question.
A lot of experimenting. Okay.
Oh, boom. All right. So this is going to be the candelabra.
Brilliant.
Right. What is your biggest writing hot take?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really tough one. I feel like I should easily know the answer. Okay, what has ticked off Steve the most on? That's my go-to at this point. What has ticked people off the most on? Oh, that's the thing. I can say, apples are red on Twitter, and I would instantly get someone throwing.
Oh yeah.
Like it's wild. Yeah, it's
the
fun.
Weirdos come out in force and want to just fight.
Yeah. So it's Oh, that's a really tough one. What is my biggest writing hot take? I feel like I'm still very much learning, what would really... Yeah, this is a tough one.
Stumper.
Well, here's one I can say. No, this isn't a hot take. This really is not a hot take, but I fall somewhere in the middle when it comes to, you have some people who say, I was even thinking about this today because of the post I made about quality, but you have some people who say just pump out garbage in your first draft and then edit later. And I avoid that because I know for me, I get attached to what I put out in the first effort, which isn't to say I won't edit the living hell out of it when the time comes, but if I push myself for at least decent quality the first time around, it just makes it that much more likely what comes out after editing is better, because I will end up holding on to something I probably shouldn't have, So I'm not a big fan of extreme, not at all. I don't know, but see, that's the point, Greg. Like the funny thing is I do edit along the way a little more than maybe some do. And then, but then, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a really hot take here. The closest I can get is that some of the books I see doing extremely well are very, very poorly edited. And so sometimes it's very apparent to me it really doesn't matter, which is That's me. No, it's not you. I'm reading yours right now. You're one
No,
of the
no,
good
no,
ones.
no, no, no. I'm not saying it's me, but I agree with you 100%. It's like it's not a hot take, but it's amazing. Going kind of like linking it to this whole game being a nightmare is like you can't predict anything. It's like some books that just don't really hit for me personally. I understand it's a me thing and a me taste thing,
Yeah.
but I just don't. It baffles me how some of them can be like, "This is the greatest thing since sliced bread," and I'm just like,
to me,
what
some
do
of it
you
is very,
mean?
most of it. I'm going to caveat what I say with this. Most of this is very subjective, right?
Yeah.
And I very much get that. If I don't like something, but a large segment of people do, I'm like, fair enough. That's totally okay. But when I read something and it is objectively written by a toddler, with just grammar that has gone to hell, sentences that trail off. My biggest pet peeve when it comes to writing, if I'm reading your book and you have a sentence that says something like Bob went to, and then you put a period, like incomplete thought. And the number of times I come across things like that, like just and some of these people have paid editors thousands of dollars and their books have dozens of sentences like that, or just massive, like I'm not talking nitpicky grammar errors. I'm talking incomprehensible to the point of comedy. And these are some of the books that I see doing well. That just, that's what hurts my soul, Yeah, I mean,
well, I think that, we relate because both of us are kind of like editors at heart.
mm-hmm.
We have an editorial eye, and like I look at this and I struggle. I don't know if you struggle with this, offering advice to people because like you might be reading this book and you're like, this was edited by somebody, like somebody edited this, and you're like, you paid for that? Like,
yeah.
Sometimes I'll see that and I'll be like, oh, I feel so bad for this author, like that they paid money for this service and like that type of stuff you see. And I don't want to be that way, but sometimes I can't help it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm right there with you. And I mean, that's not like, I say that with, I hope, some level of humility. I make plenty of mistakes, catch myself on most,
I
slip some through, this isn't a claim of being above those mistakes.
Well, I make no mistakes at all.
I mean, after I released God's Blood Tragedy, I had on page 2 that it missed all my beta readers. It missed a bunch of other people that read it before I released it, and it actually got caught by an ESL reader. It's on the second page. It should have been IT without the apostrophe, like the creature, its head, and I had it with the apostrophe, and it passed I don't know how many eyes. And then an ESL, reader found it. I'm like, how does that happen when you're supposed to, have all these people like read it and all this stuff? But hey, we're not.
I mean, I had one that I caught only I think right after republishing with the new cover. And so it had already been out for a few months by that point. And I had read it a million times, editors reading it. I had beta readers, and no one caught this. And I just happened to catch it on I was rereading a chapter for context for the sequel as I'm writing it. And I caught this glaring error that not a single person caught,
Good point, Alex. Good point. Let's make this happen.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
It's really funny. Tim Wolf in the chat wrote, "This romantic is the greatest shot." He wrote that right as I was thinking about my hot take, which of course is Bill knows that romanticy gives me indigestion. Just even the thought of it, just like And so and then right when I thought that Tim wrote that in the chat, I'm like, oh, he's reading my mind.
Yeah.
Oh no.
One more question, Dewey, then we'll get back to the book.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Come
on, yes, okay. This is the one I really want to ask.
I'm excited.
No, you're
all
not.
Right. Here we go.
No? Okay. Bracing myself.
If you had to give up one for the rest of your life, which would it be? Your beard, your hair, or your hats?
No comment.
Oh.
Non-negotiable. Kidding. Okay. Oh, that is tough. Now, I've been bald before. I look fine bald. I could probably be okay bald. But I am fond of the hair. Oh, that's tough. It's gonna be. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I'm adamantly against ever throwing this into a man bun or ponytail. So really, a hat is the only viable option for keeping this hair tamed. So as long as I have the hair, the hat is non-negotiable, which means I think I am going to have to pick the hair. I think I could go without the hair. Beard, non-negotiable. Love it. I don't miss going clean shaven.
No.
Yeah,
I just
me
don't.
neither.
So yeah, I think it would be the hair. As much as I love this, awesome.
All right.
I had a
It's
feeling
on
you were
record.
gonna pick that,
Yep.
by the way. I had a feeling you were going to pick the hair.
Interesting. Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's the one. Yeah. As a bearded gentleman, I hate when I shave.
Yeah.
Hate the way I look.
Can't go
Now that
back.
we're older, no jawline anymore, so you got to have that covered.
Well, that's the thing too, is I had the beard for a while, a lot shorter, but I had it for a few years and then took it off. And by then I had gained a little more weight. The years that started taking their toll, and your face just looks different. And it's not good.
Jawline.
Yeah, no one wants to see that.
No, nope. Then you look like Pete Barnacle. I don't think he's still here.
No, I think P had a feeling we were going to bring
You
it up.
We call him Andrew Tate because he looks like Andrew Tate.
Oh,
Beards
well,
are makeup for men, though, Tim. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Tim, I want to ask you, as far as this book goes, you self-published it, but did you do anything? Did you try to go the trad route, the traditional agents or anything? Okay.
I think I had very much in mind as I wrote it. It's hard to put a figure on why. I just immediately thought the kind of story I want to tell, I don't think it's what traditional publishers are going for right now. And that was, so to me, it was just a no-brainer. And the more I looked into traditional publishing, even while I was in the writing program I did after university, I did what should have been a 2-year program in 1 year at the main trade college here in Ottawa. And very, very, very good writing program. It was a lot of fun. Learned more about writing there than from all my years of university. So that says something. and they, we learned a lot about the industry in some of our courses. I remember just taking one look at it and thought, this is exactly everything I was trying to get away from in academia. Some of the structures behind the peer review process, and some of it just, if you're not on the inside to some extent, if you're not following the trends exactly as they want them, it's just, I don't want to play those games. I knew the story I wanted to tell. I didn't want to have to compromise it for whatever. It didn't suit me. So,
and please don't take this the wrong way, but the beginning part that I read, that's not going to be a trad book because it doesn't follow tropes, doesn't follow the trend. It's not like that simple story where it's just like, oh, here's another guy doing something in a quest. Like there is a lot. It's
definitely not a farm boy going on a quest.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in your first part with multiple points of view, and like it's not exactly hand holding, and there's not clear vision and stuff like that. And that's not trad these days. Trad just wants it to be, as Tim Wolf likes to keep saying, romantasy, dragon riders and then banging on the next page. Like that's not not this book here.
Yeah.
So.
Now that said, it's just a quick comment because you brought it up. I was very intentional about not hand holding because I frankly don't like when authors hold my hand while I'm reading the book.
Same.
Right. So, but that said, I've tried to, I'm working on a sequel right now. I'm about 80,000 words in. And one of the things I've tried to adjust is it's not so much doing more hand holding, but I have tried to add a type of exposition that I think was lacking in the first book. So I'm going for a richer prose. So it flows well with book one, but I'm trying, like, you learn as you go, right? And you experiment with new writing tools. I think it's for the better, the direction I've taken it, but little things like that. Where
I will 100% agree with you on that, because some of the feedback I got on God's Blood was like, this is almost too complex of writing, and not everybody's going to enjoy that. So when I was writing my sequel, I took that feedback in and kind of said, okay, let's pull back on that and do it a little bit more streamlined.
Yeah.
But not too much, because I don't like my hand holding and I like my craziness and all that stuff. So I didn't want to do it too bad. So I fully agree with what you're saying. And it's like, you do look back, and I did actually do a re-release, as where I kind of like just massaged some of it, but I'm not going to completely change the story, because the story is the story, and that's the way I want it.
Well, see, we talked about this briefly, and so I asked you whether I should be reading the newer version, and I'm reading the paperback, and I'm freaking loving it. So this is why.
Well, that's what when you asked me, and then I told you, and I was like, wait a second, I've read the first part of his book. He doesn't need to read the new stuff. He likes the way that the old one would have been like, and that's why I said just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I think that was the right call, because I'm loving it. But that's the thing, is I get why. I think the tough thing for us as authors is we're so intimate with the story, and so it can be hard for us to get into the headspace of a reader who's encountering all these things for the first time.
Yep.
And that's so I've tried to get better on that front. And the great thing about playing around with different kinds of exposition, whether it's in dialogue or adding some history or some reflection within the narrative text, is you can have a lot of fun just adding richness and depth to the world that's already in your head anyway. Yeah. I'm very careful about not info dumping, but I feel like I've found a nice flow where I'm getting more of that content in a way that people will enjoy.
Yeah, no, and that's the key, and it's also interesting because we're both very similar writers, and with the editor mindset, is that we had the idea of what we wanted, but then like this indie game, this indie community, and all this stuff that we're part of, we kind of missed what they were like, the vast majority of it want. They want the more streamlined type stories, and then. So then we also write these big dumbass chonkers that are, the tomes.
No regrets. Absolutely no regrets.
No regrets.
Yeah. No, it's true though. And there is a balance to be struck there. Yeah. And it's something I'm even wrestling with right now on a few different levels. Is okay. The thing is, you're learning as you go, and we are a part of a community. And this is our immediate audience, is the reviewers we get in touch with, and the other authors we're learning from and helping promote too. And so you don't want to be so set in your ways that you can't adjust to, you don't know what you don't know. So until you join the community and hear from people what they want, and hear from feedback from beta readers and editors, right? Until then, you can't trap yourself in the first iteration of your world, because that's just inherently, unless you are essentially a prodigy, it's not going to match the community you first land in for your book. And you can do one of two things. You can just deal with it and then write something new that is a better fit, or you can adjust. I think that's why I love self-publishing, is we have a lot more freedom to adjust and to reiterate than a lot of traditional publishers who wait years before putting out a second edition.
Well, that's what, I mean, I don't want to hijack your conversation here, but that's the reason why I went back and did a little soft edit, is because we had the opportunity.
Yeah.
But then I you brought it up where you said your next story that you want to write is shorter. Is that a conscious decision to be contrary to what this this book is? Because that's what I'm going to do next, is my story. Like, I'm going to take a hiatus from this series for a little while and write something smaller, something more intimate, something less complex.
I think I'm doing the same as you, where
so one, to challenge myself, but two, to just have more entry points into my writing. Yeah, something that's more accessible for more readers.
Yeah. So in part, in part, it's definitely intentional for marketability. I want something out there that's shorter. I'm doing the same as you, where I'm writing the sequel first, so another chonker. I'm seeing that through, and I will write the third part after. But in between, I want to start this second series. And funny enough, ties tangentially to the Dreymare Chronicle. It is a different world, but it's more of an Easter egg that they are connected, which I'm having fun with. And funny enough, what inspired the idea is a comment from Tim Wolf, a comment he made about Rinwen's perspective in the Fall of Selvandrea. It was already something I was playing around with in my mind, the possibility of writing an entire novel from children's POV, and that branched off into this idea and so that's the thing too, is part of the reason I'm keeping this new series short is that it feels appropriate to the character and the perspective as well. So it's not just for the marketability, but that is very much to me a benefit of it. It's going to give me. I'm aiming for about 90,000 words per book for this series, versus my 170 to 200 range.
You're half of this book.
Yeah.
Are you staying?
That's a good transition. Sorry, Dewey. The transition though, before you jump in, Rin is probably my favorite POV.
Yeah.
In this book, and I was talking to Tim Wolf, offline when I was reading, and I go, "What was Rin your favorite POV?" And yeah, it is for him too. Like what? I don't want to say possessed you, but like what made you decide to write a point of view from a young child that actually reads like a young child?
Yeah.
Like, this is not Arya Stark, where she is acting like she's 18 years old when she's really only 8. This actually reads like an 8-year-old.
Well, the funny thing is, I've met the thing about just children in general, I know some 9-year-olds who are much more mature than Rin. And then I know some who are far less. There's a range of even how children behave. So I had a very distinct personality in mind for her. Part of it was it wasn't so much experimenting. Once I had the idea for the character, I just went wild. To me, I went into this book with no holds, just my imagination gone wild. What fits the story, but also playing around with different tools, playing around with different characters' perspectives, not holding myself back. And her perspective is just the epitome of that. It's just letting myself go wild, have fun. ADHD, run around, like just that's the thing too, is the moment I started, I couldn't stop because it's so fun. It's not just fun to read her perspective, it's so addictively fun to write it, because there are no limits, and wherever my mind goes, she goes, because you don't have to edit yourself like you do for for more defined POVs. For her, it fits. And there is context too for why she's so chaotic too, within the world itself. And anyways, so part of it is just me having fun. I think around the time too, when I was about to start writing her chapters, I started reading a few, some books that were mid-grade, just to get a feel for it. And then also I read a short story by a fellow student who wrote just an account from her childhood. And she, even as an adult, had kind of close to the personality I had in mind for Rin. So then I read this story by her, really an autobiography of just a childhood event in her life. And it was so on the nose, I thought, oh yeah, there we go. So I took kind of what she did in terms of writing style to a point. It gave me some ideas to branch off of. And then I just went wild, So there was some inspiration at the same time. Like a lot of different things influenced how Rin's character kind of turned out in the end. But once I had the idea, I was like, oh, this is so much fun. I can't stop. If anything, one of my regrets is like there's one section of the book where I think I go maybe a little too long for my taste without a good Rin chapter, It just wasn't the right time to throw her back in. But anyways,
Well, for this follow-up, are you planning it to be adult still, or is it going to be young adult, or are you...
For her character specific, or
since you're writing this new book for the new series, the new
series is a boy and a girl roughly that same age. They started around 9, and they're going to age over the course of the series, but they both start out roughly 9 years old in a very alternative world. a lot of fun. And yeah, so it's me doubling down on a lot of the good things for Rin. It's just my imagination gone wild. This whole world is, the thing. I'm kind of brainstorming it as what were something like Deltor Quest to a point, but also Pokemon meets Progression Dragon Ball Z meets Rin chapters meets there was another there was another kids show that for me was absolutely pivotal. I had it down. I could open my OneNote, but I had this full list of these influences that hit the right vibe for me. It's meant to be adventure, fantasy, mid-grade level writing, but fun.
Okay.
But Rin, essentially Rin's perspective on Overdrive.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's gonna be fun.
That's pretty awesome. So we're kind of coming up on time. We don't want to keep you too much longer, but wanted to ask, what are the plans for Tim McKay? Like, obviously you have this next novel in place, but like, what else is going on? What other projects do you have going on?
Yes, I mean, other than finishing my sequel and starting the new series, I have the audiobook for the Fall of Selvandrea is on the way. So tentatively, it's hopefully going to be done by the end of April. That's the set date. So there could be some delays. I'm kind of anticipating maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks or so. Hopefully, within that range, though, I'm expecting it to be done at this rate. And the narrator is fantastic. I absolutely love his voice and how he's capturing the characters. Listening to Rin's opening chapter from him, and like he nails Rin, he nails Vald, he nails all these different characters. It's fantastic to find a narrator who, just and his narrative voice is just incredible. So I've got the audiobook on the way. Isaac Anderson, another indie author, and we just started our own YouTube channel, kind of doing the same thing. We're aiming for about every 2 weeks, bringing on a fellow author guest or a booktuber guest and just chatting, taking some deep dive questions into the craft, playing a few games, a little pop culture fun at the end. That's kind of our plan. And then we'll clip the interviews and release those as well.
You need to ask all the Terminator questions whenever Tim Wolf is on.
Actually, Tim's going to be our one of our first author guests. So now we have some inspiration.
Just make sure all the questions are Terminator related, because Tim knows everything there is about Terminator.
That's awesome.
Yes.
He does not know.
No. He got mad at me because there was like two Terminator questions when he was on Schmudgeon.
I remember that. I thought it was because he knew it. Oh, that makes it better. Okay,
that was just by accident.
Well, Tim, brace yourself. It's going to be pure Terminator now. But I mean, that's and then editing work keeps me busy too. I'm judging for a writing contest come April, so that's going to keep me. April's going to be a very busy month. I'm bracing myself for that.
Well, yeah, and if you get your audiobook in, like if it comes in with April, I mean, that's going to be a huge release for you.
Yeah. So I'll be gearing up to launch that. So it's exciting. It's been a really good few months for sure since I launched the new cover, and just taking it a day at a time.
Fantastic. Bill, do you have any final questions?
No, not really. I mean, thank you for coming on, and thank you for being patient. I know we wanted to try to get you on closer to the release of the Fall of
Selvandrea.
I can't even pronounce it. My brain instantly goes to Selvandrea. I cannot do it.
I get it. I really do.
It's a struggle.
But no, it's been a pleasure. And honestly, I mean, I try to space out. I mean, I love doing chats like these, but it's kind of nice having them 1 or 2 a week, getting to do this. Because I mean, I love doing it. I'd rather not have it all crammed around a release when I'm at max stress. This is great. Right now, I'm relaxed, having a good time. This is perfect time.
Internet's working. It's all good. It's all good to go. Right?
And your internet has worked this entire time. Yeah, we haven't had one freeze.
Yay!
I don't
think
awesome. So. So I still need to smack the providers over the head, but in the meantime, I'm happy.
No more breaking keyboards until you need to.
Yeah. Well, no promises there.
Thank you, Tim. We have a link. I have a link to your Amazon page
in the chat. I'm also going to add a link to your show, your new show. I didn't realize that, so we'll make sure to have. Is it your own channel or?
No, it's all caps book chat on YouTube.
Okay, yeah. That way,
And that's with you and Isaac Anderson. He's the Memories of Tomorrow guy, right?
No. Song of Bones is what he's.
Song of Bones.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that.
It's kind of a dark. I call it Dark Redwall. Very fun book. Very fun book. Yeah, it's like a darker Redwall. That's all you need to know. It's great.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I love Redwall. So
yeah, if you like Redwall, honestly, having that's the only way I can describe it. I think it's a good fit for Redwall lovers if you like something with a bit of a darker edge too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tim, for joining
thanks so much
us.
for having me.
Thank you for joining us, and get Tim's book, this one or the old cover.
That's the one. Well, the old cover is hard to get now. It's great. It's exclusive.
I love the old cover. Don't get me wrong. I love it, but I do like the old cover.
Yeah,
it's sleek, in my opinion.
All right.
I'm a big fan.
Thank you for joining us, everybody in the chat and watching. We are a Schmudgeon of Curmudgeon, and we will see you next time.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Awkward way.